The Apostle Paul in particular demonstrates the importance of getting control of our mind and our thought life. He himself dealt with stressful, difficult, disappointing moments in his own life, but he came through them in a way that is kind of mind-blowing. And I want to look at a story here where Paul and Silas are missionaries. They're both have been saved. Both are passionate for Jesus. They love him. And not only do they love him, but they're going out and trying to go to other places to start churches and build people up and help people find a relationship with Jesus. And they're all in on their faith. They're all in for Jesus. They love him. They're devoted for him. They want to do the right thing. And they are on a path where they're helping a lot of people find the Lord and find the hope that he alone offers. And it was a stretch of time where things really went great for them. Paul was visiting different regions, particularly the region of Philippi and the city of Philippi. He was in Derbe, he was in Lystra, and his plans were coming about. He had met this young man named Timothy, a young guy who also had tons of potential, was passionate for God, didn't care what his friends were thinking or what other people were saying. He wasn't worried about that. He wanted to love God and serve God and be passionate for God, regardless of what the crowd or friends or other people said about him. And Paul saw this man's passion, this young guy's devotion, and he poured himself into Timothy. He mentored this young guy, and this guy was on fire and became a huge asset to bring hope to other people. And that was a win. That was something Paul was so pleased with, so happy about, that there is passion and that it's growing. Paul also went from church to church, and it says that he went strengthening their faith, and it said that they were adding to their number daily. In other words, this hope was spreading. Churches were growing. People weren't embracing religion. They were embracing a relationship with God that was transformational, and all these people were getting helped. All these people were taking their lives to a better place, and that's rewarding to Paul. It's like, boy, I want that for myself. I want that for others, and it was happening. There was one woman in particular named Lydia who was a businesswoman, very successful, very influential. And Paul talked to her one day about Jesus, and she accepted the Lord. And as a result of that, she was on fire for God. She wanted to love God and serve God and was devoted to God. And she did what she could to build others up too. And so there are days and there are moments in this, from the rising of the sun to the setting of the same, where you're like, man, this is working. This is going well. The plans are coming about. I'm praying, and it's actually being answered. Like I'm seeing it, and it's just a joy-filled time. But that soon changed, because there were some magistrates in Philippi who didn't like what Paul and Silas were teaching. And they accused them of advocating unlawful ideas, unlawful things and customs that Romans should reject. And the magistrates in Philippi were angry about that. They said that Paul and Silas were inciting people to become angry, to rioting. They were creating chaos in the city. And as a result, Paul and Silas were arrested. But not just arrested, they were publicly humiliated. They were flogged. They were beaten. And they were exposed to open shame, and they were thrown into the inner cell in a prison they could not escape, with their legs in stocks. And so in those moments, you're like, man, my life just did a serious 180 here. I thought this was going one way, but it's gone another way. And the question is, how do you respond to those kinds of moments where life doesn't play out the way you planned? How do you think you would feel? What are the thoughts that would go through your mind? I mean, Paul and Silas, in this moment, it would have been normal, we'd say, to be angry about this, to be bitter, resentful because of what has happened, to maybe curse the darkness, to scream and yell at the people who unfairly imprisoned them. They could have done all that. They could have screamed and yelled, and they could have lost their minds. They could also have lost all their hope. They could have just stepped back and say, God, where are you? You've abandoned me. I'm trying to do the right thing here. I'm walking the right path. I'm honoring you. Why are you not blessing me? Why is this so hard when I'm just trying to take the right path? And they could have resented God, and they could have lost all hope in God. They could have withdrawn to the corners of that cell and just kind of hung their head defeated. It's a decision. It's something that we're tempted to do too when we feel imprisoned by circumstances or situations that we can't fully control. But what's interesting in the midst of all this, that they responded to the most stressful, crazy, unfair moment in their lives in a completely unexpected way. We read this in verse 25. It says, about midnight, Paul and Silas were cursing, screaming at the guards, plotting revenge, calculating payback. About midnight. Nope. Would have been easy to do any of those things, and they didn't do it at all. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening. In Paul's most dire moment, when the rug's been pulled out from under him, when his plans have been destroyed, when things that are going well, the sunshine quickly turns to rain, where is this man focused? Where is his brain? Where is his mind? Where are his thoughts? They were on worship. He was focused on worshiping God. He was focused on praising God. He was focused on gratitude to God in a prison cell. It's a powerful moment because they knew something, that they weren't going to cast their joy away because what they focused on was 100% going to impact how they felt. And I wonder, I think we all do, what song were they singing? Like they're singing at midnight. Could they even carry a tune? I don't like our worship team. Everybody's got really good pitch. It's like, does he sing? Does he not? Like, does he sing? I'd love to get a recording of that. That'd be nice. But I'd really be curious what they sang. And I think we have a clue. Because there is something that every devout Jewish person memorized, something that they took to heart that fits perfectly with this scenario. And it's found in Psalm 113 through 118. It was something regarding Passover, where this was regularly sung. These psalms were regularly sung to honor God for his deliverance from Egypt, for his provision and for his care. And we don't know what tune they sung it to, but the words were their focus. And we get a little picture of that in Psalm 113, verse 1 through 3 and 7 through 9. They likely sung these words. Praise the Lord. Praise, O servants of the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Let the name of the Lord be praised, both now and forevermore. From the rising of the sun to the place where it sets, the name of the Lord is to be praised. Their minds were focused on praise. Not the problem, but the God who's greater than that problem. But there's more. They were also focused on gratitude. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap. He seats them with the princes of their people. He settles the barren woman in their home as a happy mother of her children. Praise the Lord. Here we have Paul struggling, suffering, and yet it's praise and gratitude that fills his mind. Not just the pain of the cracked ribs, the broken facial bones, the bruised body, and the whipped back. He could have focused on all these things, but he lifted his mind above that to a God who is greater than even his worst circumstances. It turns out that gratitude is not just like a peripheral thing that we should consider. It's not something that we just bring up at Thanksgiving because I guess they do, I guess we do. Gratitude is actually a game changer. It changes everything. It changes us. It changes our mindset. It changes how we feel, and it brings us to a better place. You see, gratitude has immense power in our lives. Gratitude rescues us from the downward spiral of negativity. It helps us cope with our struggles, and it has immense power to restore joy. Immense power to restore joy. And that's where gratitude actually can make our lives better, bring us to a better place. It can prevent the pity parties that don't make us feel better. You can withdraw into a pity party and say, woe is me. And when you come out of the room after you pulled the shades down and you pop back out into the world, you don't feel better. You feel worse because it never helps us. It just rips us up on the inside. Gratitude has the ability to restore our joy, and it has implications for all of us because at some point in our lives, we're going to lose something important. We're going to lose someone that we love. We're going to have a dream that gets dashed. We're going to have this moment where we face a setback. Our relationship doesn't develop the way we hoped. Maybe it falls apart. And gratitude helps us to lift our eyes above this to see that we're not alone, that God is still there, that our prison cell is not the final word, that the bondage or struggle we're in is not the final scene in this movie. It has big implications for parenting too, that we teach our kids to be grateful, and it equips them to handle the challenges they inevitably face as well. And so as a parent, to drill right down to the role of a parent, one of the best gifts you can give your kids is not something under the tree this Christmas. It's not some new experience. One of the best gifts you can give is the gift of gratitude, cultivating that. And this means we need to intentionally build gratitude into the regular routine, into our regular routine and our regular family life. A huge gift you give to your kids. Because we live in a negative world, because we can make our situation worse. Do you know that you can make the problem you're facing right now worse? Like way worse. And you make it worse by where you focus. But if you get your focus right, you can turn that around.